Oh, that you would tear open the heavens and come down so that the mountains would quake at your presence. This from Isaiah. Oh, that you would tear open the heavens and come down so that the mountains would quake at your presence. Now, I cannot tell you how many times I have thought of this passage over the last few weeks. While the world has gone about the business of empires, of fighting and stealing, of breaking and consuming all, it seems, that creation tries to repair and remake. The news in the paper has not been great lately. The traffic, at least where I go, has been horrendous. Even this lovely warm weather that we've been trying to enjoy seems to push against that Christmas spirit that we still, much of the time, try to cultivate. Because after all, this is the birth of Jesus that we're talking about. And while many of us aren't so sure about the Holy Trinity thing, about the fully human and fully divine figure of Christian orthodoxy, we do know a prophet when we see one. And Jesus, this child we honor during Advent, is the one who grew up and tried to teach us to do unto others as we would have them do unto us, and told us that when someone strikes us on the cheek, we should offer them the other. And who taught us the prayer that we use every single week, where we ask for forgiveness of our trespasses, and then we promise to forgive everyone else. I know that's not going so well for me these days. In fact, there isn't a lot of that going on in the world right now. There isn't a lot of openness or patience or forgiveness or tolerance or welcome. Humanity is not playing its best game this Advent. We are not as affirming or as loving as we should be, and the evidence of this is all around us. It is in our culture's love of guns and weaponry. It is in the way we treat our environment. It's in the way we treat each other, the stranger, the immigrant, the poor person in our midst, and even the one in front of us in the checkout line or at the traffic light. You see, we need a prophet. And we are here in church to celebrate prophets. The prophet of Good Friday dies for his great and majestic ideas, his teachings and his truth, adding his voice and his body to the tradition of the Hebrew prophets like Isaiah, yearning for something, anything better. We wish that you would come down, Isaiah says. We wish that you would come down so that the mountains would shake at your presence. But if we keep your ancient ways, maybe we will be saved. If we keep your ways, if we keep the ways of the transcendent. Now, our reading from Martin Luther today reminds us of this connection between that baby in the manger and the prophet that the baby becomes. Luther, of course, had his issues, to say the least, and his theology isn't really our own, but here he reminds us what we are supposed to do. You have Christ in your neighbor, he says. You ought to serve him. For what you do to your neighbor in need, you do to Christ himself. It seems simple, and maybe that's why it's so easy to forget. But Pageant Sunday is here. And they did a great job, didn't they? Pageant Sunday is here, and not a moment too soon. It isn't that the kids told us anything we didn't know, but they told us in the way that children tell us things. In their excitement, they remind us that this is a special time. In their presence with a C, they remind us that there is always hope. They assure us that the spirit of this season, the spirit of the prophets, at least for them, has the potential to continue and grow with them. Now, this is no small thing. Part of what makes this time difficult for so many people is that it is too easy for us to lose our way, to go through the motions, forgetting that the Christmas story is a story about the human condition and makes demands on us. The actual Christmas story makes demands on us in a way that reindeer riding, present with a tea giving, heretic punching St. Nicholas does not and cannot. I had an interesting conversation with my youngest, one of the wise men. He told me this week that at school, he and his friends were talking about how Hanukkah actually stands for something, and how Christmas is just about getting stuff. And he told me that he tried to stick up for Christmas, but his 9-year-old theological argument fell on 9-year-old deaf ears, and he finally gave up. Because, he told me, Christmas is confusing to people. And Hanukkah is, after all, pretty cool. Now, I'm not a keep Christ in Christmas kind of guy. I think you know that. My theology doesn't sustain it. But I do believe that we are well served as a society, as a church, as individuals, children and adults. We are well served by remembering the prophets at this time. Prophets like Isaiah and Amos and Jesus. Prophets like Muhammad and Luther and Child and Gandhi and Lincoln and King. And on and on. For they are the ones who call on us to be greater than ourselves, to step out of our own shallow end and to plunge into the depths of our own human existence and into the humanity of others. They are the ones who cause us to work and to act, to create the commonwealth of heaven, whatever and wherever it may be. So we have less than 2 weeks left before Christmas begins. And we should take the time today and every day until Epiphany to remember the people who spoke to us, who called us to walk the path of righteousness, justice, and love. Let us take a moment in silence to lift them to our hearts. Blessed be